Hello and welcome to Edie Extra, the new home for all of Edie's special audio features, building on our long-running Sustainability Uncovered podcast with one-on-one interviews, site visits, analysis, panels and more. Hello and welcome to Edie Extra, the podcast channel from Edie that's home to our exclusive discussions about working in sustainability with those working in sustainability. You're listening to the voice of Edie's content editor, Sarah, and on today's episode we're going to be talking all about sustainability skills and green jobs with leaders from Santander and Milton Keynes College. So the UK government previously set an ambition for the UK to host 2 million green collar jobs by 2030. But by the latest estimates, there are fewer than 700,000 full-time equivalent jobs across the nation's green industries. With that in mind, is it time to broaden out our definition of what a green job really is, or a green skill really is, especially given the growing need for next-generation digital skills and to deliver sustainable growth? Here to discuss these topics with me, I have on the line Mark Homans, who is Head of Social Impact at Santander UK, Anna Clarke, who is Group Director of Employer Engagement and Partnerships at Milton Keynes College, and Lauren Gallyot, Sustainability Lead at Milton Keynes College. So thank you all for joining me for today's episode. I'd love to just come round the virtual table, as it were, and give everyone a chance to introduce themselves to the listeners. So Mark, could I start with yourself?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Sarah. I'm Mark Homans, Head of Social Impact at Santander UK. My work is all about helping people and communities to thrive. That includes financial inclusion, career skills, and creating a workplace where everyone can grow. I've spent much of my career at the intersection of education and opportunity. And over the years, I've seen how the right skills can completely transform lives. And that's why I'm here and that's what motivates me.
Fabulous. And Anna?
Of course, I'm Anna Clarke. I'm Group Director for MK College Group. So my role is very much about keeping our link as educators to the external world. So it's about understanding the impact and the skills required externally and bringing them back in and creating them into curriculum and developing those skills of the future. And I'm really privileged to work for an organisation that leads the way in teaching and developing skills for all. So it's a really inclusive college, and it's a very broad college in terms of curriculum. And I think for us, I'm particularly interested in this because for us, green is the vital part of all sectors and all disciplines. And we're really interested in how we develop that.
Great. And last but by no means least, Lauren.
Hi, yes, I'm Lauren Gallyot, so I'm the Sustainability Lead here at Milton Keynes College, and that means that I work closely with students, staff, our local partners to embed some of these sustainable behaviours into everything that we do. So that's from curriculum all the way to sort of campus operations. From my angle, I'm interested in how skills development, and in particular those sort of green skills, can adjust mindsets and behaviours so that it becomes sort of common practice to make them a responsible choice, I guess, that benefits both people and planet. And that's not just those technical skills, but it's the sort of relevant skills and competencies that go alongside those two.
Great. And I'd really like to dive into sort of what exactly a green skill is, because I think a lot of people still see this as something niche, but as you just said, Anna, green skills are going to be a vital part of all sectors because all sectors do need to make a change. So Mark, why is it so important to get this from niche to mainstream and from the few to everybody?
So it's a great question, and too often we talk about green skills as if they're only for environmental specialists, but the reality is they're skills of the future economy. Every role, whether it's in finance or engineering, retail or education, will carry a sustainability dimension, just like today every role carries a digital dimension. So for me, skills are the bridge between aspiration and opportunity. If we truly want a thriving economy, a healthier planet, and more inclusive growth, that bridge has to be strong, it has to be wide, and it has to be open to everyone. And that's why when I kind of describe green, digital and leadership skills, I see them as the new literacy of the 21st century. They're not optional, they're fundamental.
So it's really inspirational, positive, forward-looking stuff. And when we do look at green skills, the word that often comes up is gap. So the distance between Mark's vision that he's laid out and where we are today. Research for the UK version of the Tomorrow's Skills report from Santander found that almost 7 in 10 workers expect to stay in the same field for life, but 6 in 10 of them will need retraining by 2027 to do so and progress in their career. The good news is that 86% of the workers that were surveyed for that report did say that lifelong training is essential. So Mark, I think something we also think about when we look at green skills and green jobs is like just looking at the school leavers, but what trends are you seeing around mid-career workers and the pressures they're facing to upskill?
We're living through the fastest workplace transformation since the Industrial Revolution, but this time around it's being driven by 3 forces at once. So the green economy, digital disruption, and new leadership models. Mid-career professionals are right at the sharp edge of the change. And I include myself in that. I kind of often find myself sitting there asking, will my skills still be relevant in 10 years? The honest answer is it kind of depends. It depends on whether retraining is accessible, whether it's affordable, whether it's inspiring. And the real barriers are not just cost and time, they're confidence and culture. My strong view is that people need to see learning not as a one-off event, but as a journey that evolves with them over time. And if we don't shift that mindset, we'll end up with a workforce that's anxious about change rather than excited by it. And that's exactly why you mentioned the Tomorrow's Skills report, but it's why it matters. It shows us that reskilling isn't just urgent, it's universal.
Brilliant. And Anna, I'm sure that at the college you work with a lot of employers. So what are they telling you that they need in terms of skills or in terms of headcount?
Yeah, Sarah, we're starting to get articulated to us a real need for different types of skills. So on one hand, you've got people asking for vocational skills. So they're very hands-on things. So things like EV maintenance, retrofit skills that are needed very much for the economy and businesses right now. But equally, there's that rising demand around management and leadership skills, people who can kind of navigate changing environments, align strategies and manage that transformation piece. And then there's a lot of emerging skills coming through. So skills around ESG reporting, how do businesses handle that? How do they effectively keep their governance and boards in the loop of where things are? There's the risk analysis for the climate. How do we understand that? And equally, of course, AI is another huge cross-cutting theme. And where does AI fit in the climate agenda approach? I think what we have found is employers are increasingly looking for guidance on all of this. That's why for us as a college, it's really important that we're looking at creating pathways that people can easily follow to get these skills, and so that learners over time can build and continually build on a complete toolkit that will take them to that next level.
That would definitely help with that confidence piece that Mark mentioned, I think. And Lauren, I'd love to come to you because a lot of those skills that Anna mentioned, I'm sure, are ones that you deploy every day in your role as sustainability lead, perhaps not actually getting out and hands-on and switching out the batteries in EVs, maybe.
Yeah, no, I would say that the likes of the sort of interconnectedness between digital leadership and green skills is really important. I think we do have to recognise that green skills aren't in silo with other skills. And as you say, I kind of often say as a sustainability manager that I want to almost work myself out of a job. And I say that lightly, but what I mean is that we sort of want to ensure that sustainable practice is the default, that people do feel empowered to lead the change themselves. And that might mean utilising digital technologies to sort of make efficiencies, or it might mean working more closely with other departments to create new processes. So it's really important that we do consider all of these skills in tandem when we think of the future economy.
But I will say when I do speak to sustainability leads, I'm always flabbergasted at how many different projects that you all are managing and how many different skills you're doing. So anyone that's listening that is considering a job where you're not going to get bored, I'd say that that's probably one for you. And then just to come back on overcoming some of these barriers that Mark has mentioned. So it's not just that people can't necessarily see training that looks the right fit for them, that's the right price, for them. It's also to do with whether they can access the right resources and whether they have the confidence to do so. So to help with several of these barriers, Santander is forging ahead with its Open Academy, which is a free digital platform providing all manner of courses and resources. But Mark, I'm sure you'll do a better job than I will about telling us about what the Academy is and how it came to be.
So over the past 2 years at Santander, we've been building a social strategy that puts education and skills at the centre, because we firmly believe that when people gain new skills, it doesn't just change prospects, but it strengthens whole communities. And for me, this work goes hand in hand with our environmental ambitions. So as we embed sustainability into our financing and operations, we also believe that embedding skills for a low carbon economy is part of the same mission. And you mentioned Open Academy, but it is a big part of what we do. It's a free digital platform that makes learning accessible to everyone, free at the point of use, with high quality content. It brings together leadership, digital and green skills in a way that's practical and relevant. So at every stage of people's careers, they can build capabilities that they need for the future. So we're really, really proud of that. And that's a global platform. In the UK now, we've got over 1 million people using the platform. So it really has started to hit some scale now, and we believe is making a real difference to people's future skills.
Fantastic. And what's next? What's your next target, or what is your next sort of impact goal that you want the Open Academy to have?
I think it's just about making learning borderless. We've deliberately stripped away the financial and geographic barriers. So whether you're a mid-career professional in Milton Keynes or you're a graduate in Manchester, you can access high quality courses on sustainability, digital fluency and leadership. And the feedback so far is really positive. It shows people love consuming content in bite-sized practical modules. There's content people can apply straight away. It's not just theoretical. And for us, that's a sweet spot. It's giving people accessible, flexible and relevant tools so they can keep pace with change.
Got it. And it's obvious as to why this is important and needed. It's broad, it's digital, it's open, but we know that green skills needs are also to do with really close-knit community needs. They're different in every region. They're to do with local partnerships. So to that end, Santander also has several important local partnerships, including one called Skill Up UK with Milton Keynes College. So Anna, do tell us a bit about the story behind this initiative, what it is, what it does and what needs it's addressing.
So Skill Up MK is a really exciting collaboration, and actually, to be fair, it's our first foray as a set of partners to bring something together. So we worked with the Open University and we worked with Santander and the City Council. And the problem we were trying to solve when we started talking about this is how do we simplify the skills arena so that people can access the skills they need in the way that they need to access them, because that's different for who you are and where you sit in the community. We're also acutely aware that skills is quite a complex landscape. It's got its own language, people join at different points, but we wanted a portal that would really provide some very clear maps for people about how do you jump between organisations, how do you jump between levels and subjects. And we just wanted to make it really simple for learners. So Skill Up MK is very MK centric because all of those partners have a home in MK. But actually it makes sense nationally. It's completely scalable as a project. But it's about showing people how they can progress, how to navigate their journey and take control of their journey, and where they can find opportunities. We've also got a bursary scheme that's running with Santander, and that's about making sure that there are no barriers to learning. So that will be funding electricians, for example, to get skills in EV and PV so that we can drive that market forward. But equally, we'll be working with people who want to address their leadership skills around green. And these bursaries will provide training for people who might not be able to access it otherwise. So it's really about pump priming that system and working in collaboration to make it work. But it's in essence, it's a resource that's an incredible set of learning that you can access. It includes the Open Academy, it includes the OU's free courses, and it includes the councils and the colleges courses, and just shows you a pathway that brings sort of green skills into a real world context for you.
Got it. And something else that I've also seen that's going on at the college is the newish Green Skills Centre, which Laura and I understand you're pretty involved in.
Yes, our Green Skills Centre, it was launched very recently, and we're very excited to have it as part of our sort of assets here at the college. As Anna's already touched upon, as a college, we do focus on how we can tailor training and curriculum to sort of local skills needs. So the Green Skills Centre is a demonstration of us doing that with regards specifically to green skills. So at the moment, you'll find technical awards within sort of construction-based topics. The likes of sort of solar panel installation and electric charging. But our aim is to further expand that to fill the green skills gaps for other industries too. So the Green Skills Centre is really that launching pad for not just training people to do a job, but to look at our sort of wider curriculum and embed behaviours that become second nature.
Got it. And in all of this, we see some great examples of partnerships. So partnerships with students, employers, with financiers like Santander. So I'd love to come around the table and ask about why partnership is so important to green skills and green jobs. And we've talked about some of the organisations that need to be in these partnerships, but I'm presuming that we could also bring to the table other people like NGOs, like policymakers as well. So Mark, if I could perhaps come to you for your thoughts in a nutshell on partnerships for green skills.
Yeah, I'm a massive believer in partnering. I think we always do better in terms of outcome when we approach complex problems with different perspectives. I'm a big believer in kind of design-led thinking when we start to think about understanding complex problems and how we kind of develop solutions for them. And really not to kind of repeat what we've already said, but a big part of my work over the past couple of years has really been looking at key partners in Milton Keynes where we are a large employer. Milton Keynes is a strategically important location for Santander, and we want to make sure that we are showing up in the right way and making a positive difference to the area. And that's why I work closely with the college. I'm actually a governor at the college as well, which is another part of the work that I do. But through those relationships, you're able to really understand what's going on in the local area. You're able to understand the resources available, and I think often the challenge is just connecting dots. It's understanding what's going on, what those local challenges look like, what solutions could exist if they were constructed well. And the MK Skill Up partnership effectively came out the back of lots of conversations where we knew people at the university, we knew people at the college, people at the council. And what you recognise pretty quickly is everyone's grappling with the same challenges. And actually, if you pull thinking and resources, typically you end up with a better result. And not just the proposition, but the communications channels, the way in which you then go out and talk about these things is just amplified. So it's early days for Skill Up, but I've high hopes that it will make a meaningful difference, and we'll start to see some real impact over the next 6 to 12 months.
I think Mark summarised it beautifully. I mean, we know as educators, our superpower is almost the power to create curriculum that delivers a skill. But equally, we can reach into communities of very different kinds that maybe business can't get to in the same way, because we work at that ground level for us. So I think that's really important. But actually, you need all parts of the puzzle to solve a puzzle, don't you? So we need business, we need policymakers, we need communities to tell us what we need, but we need businesses to tell us what those skills are as well. I think what Skill Up has shown, and Mark is absolutely right, is that when you bring those people around the table, you can create solutions that are simple but work.
Well, I'd just add from my perspective, I guess partnerships are so important given the sort of moving parts that we have to consider within a green economy and how the landscape around sustainability is constantly changing. So those partnerships are really important for instigating discussion on the solutions that have worked, but also what might not have worked. So they unlock a lot of opportunities that otherwise might not have necessarily been there.
It's that idea of that you won't know unless you try. And we've been talking about really motivational, really inspirational stuff so far, I think, and I'd love to keep that going, because often when I'm writing about sustainability, I'm looking at risk management, I'm looking at what could go wrong, where are the gaps. But looking at green inclusive growth in the UK and really getting the ball rolling with all of those partners and with everyone that needs the skills means looking at the opportunities and really selling them. So, Mark, what's your vision for success in the UK if we get this next generation skills development right?
If we succeed, the UK workforce doesn't end up greener. It will be more innovative as well, more inclusive, more resilient. Growth will come from a lot of what we've talked about. It's been creative and sustainable in thought and action, and that isn't then just an efficiency thing. It's ultimately just a better thing all round for everybody. And for me, skills conversation is ultimately about hope. It's hope people can adapt and succeed and find meaningful work in a world that's changing at pace faster than ever.
I think my vision is the work that we're doing now with employers and policymakers, it shouldn't be an exception. It should be the way we solve problems. It should be the way that we increase inclusion. It should be the way that we talk about social mobility and promoting people using skills. So I think if we can make it the norm, make sure that all parties are around the table, when we achieve that, we'll align all the opportunities with needs. So for me, it's really important that we leave no one behind in this discussion.
And I'd completely agree. I think there's so much opportunity in a green economy, but we do need to just make sure that everyone has access to it. So some of the skills might seem quite specialist, but actually ensuring that everyone has that solid foundation of skills and knowledge in the first instance that can then be built upon is really important. And that's why programs like Skill Up, the Open Academy are just so important.
Got it. And we've talked at sort of like quite a big level there. We've talked at a national level, we've talked at like a citywide level, but we've probably got some people that are listening and think that this sounds exciting, it sounds good, it sounds like something they might want to explore as an individual, but they're not really sure on where to start in choosing which green skills to build and actually building them. So what advice would you give to someone in that position?
So I think my advice is don't think of learning as a career detour, think of it as career fuel. The future won't reward people who know everything, but people that just keep learning and have that lifelong learning attitude and approach. And I think the good news is that there's loads of tools out there. We've mentioned Santander's Open Academy. It's great, it's free, it's practical, and it's designed for anyone who wants to take the first step. But there's loads of resources out there if you really go looking and are keen to invest the time and effort into doing so. The opportunities are there, and the only question is really for me whether we take it or not. I think on a personal level, I'm always super happy to engage with anyone that is curious about it. So you can find me on LinkedIn, do reach out, would love to have these chats. And just be curious and go and find education. It's super interesting and it unlocks doors.
I think Mark has summarised it beautifully. I think there are lots of different options to go to, but there are some actually just sort of entry level understanding sustainability type courses out there that can almost explain to you what the options are and explore those with you. And I think if you're really unsure, they're probably a great place to start. But Mark's right. It's like skills for me are like building blocks. You build them over your lifetime. So you just start learning, and then something in that learning will spark another interest for you. Follow that interest and then just keep going. I think it is about developing your potential and turning that into performance for your life, really. That's what it's about for me.
Yeah, I would agree with what both Anna and Mark have said. I think I've had so many conversations with all sorts of counterparts in other industries, and everyone's had a different route into the role that they're in. And so I think whether you're specifically interested in green skills and sustainability, or whether you have a different route into that sort of area, I think there's so much opportunity to learn. And as Mark said, there's so many resources to do that. So I think just keep your eyes open and your mind open.
Yep, so lots of places to get started there, no matter what your skills are at present or what your career you're in at the moment. So I do hope that this discussion has gone some way to demystifying green jobs, demystifying green skills. And that's because we've had 3 great guests on who have been super energetic and super insightful regarding the opportunity here, and each bringing their unique insights. So thanks to all 3 of you for your time on this episode.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
So that's pretty much all the time we have for this episode of Edie Extra, but do check out the Edie Extra channel on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple or Google for all of other episodes. For this episode, it's a goodbye from me. Goodbye.